Welcome into the Thunder Basketball Universe presented by Summer Moon Coffee. It is a special day here in Oklahoma City. We are coming to you from the First Americans Museum right outside of downtown Oklahoma City for a very special occasion. We got a chance to introduce the newest faces to this Thunder roster, and they're sitting with us right now. We have Thomas Sorber joining us, and of course, Brooks Barnhizer, the newest addition to this Thunder roster. And guys, first things first, what have the last 24 hours been like for you guys? Actually, we'll give it 48 hours. You guys are drafted a couple of days. We'll start with you, Thomas. Just what has this whirlwind been like for you?
Man, honestly, it's just been like the last 48 hours just been crazy to me, honestly. Just not just for me, but also my family as well, because they've never experienced something like this. So it's not only an experience for me, it's a new experience for my family as well. So we're just like going through it with excitement, just like, living in the moment and just see what we could get from it.
Yeah, same, honestly. Definitely off rip, it was definitely very exciting and very just kind of, surreal. I feel like it still really hasn't fully kicked in. But it's just been a really cool just to share the moment with the family, friends. And then, ultimately, like me and Thomas were talking about earlier, like it's right back to work. So, we got to celebrate it and enjoy it for what it is because, you got to look around every now and then and appreciate how far you've come. But, we know that there's still a lot to go do. So we're excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, people often say that they will remember their draft night forever. And it looks different for every player and every person and family and situation. So for each of you guys, you got drafted on different nights. Thomas, for you, Wednesday. Brooks, for you, Thursday. But what's that like being at that table, Thomas, and to have your mom there and you have that moment of celebration and you get to go up on stage? I mean, just take me through kind of the memory that comes to you in that moment.
Well, at first I was just like trying to have like a blind like mind, not trying to go in too nervous or not trying to go in too hype, but just going like chill, just like live in the moment, just see what like ends up turning out. And once they told me that OKC could be the place to go, a lot of like memories just came back, just like for me being like a little kid and just leading up to this moment, like everything just came back at me once. And like, that's when the emotion starts to pour out. And once my name was called on that board, like my family and I, it was just such a memorable moment for us. So.
Yeah. How about you? Where did you spend your draft night?
Yeah, my draft night was actually at home in Lafayette, at my house. Probably like, I would say probably total like 25 people, just friends and family. Nice. And it was cool because, I didn't really know where, I was going to go second day, but, I knew it was a possibility that OKC was going to be a possibility. And, you watch like those first 10 picks and you're just like, man, like it's, getting close to the time. And, you just heard your name called and it was crazy. It was really cool. A lot of my dad's a high school coach, so I had some of his players over. And it was just kind of a cool environment because, I played for my pops, but then like for them to be there and just, all my friends and a couple of my teammates that graduated with me last year were there. So it was amazing. So, and then all my coaches and teammates at school, they had practice. They just FaceTime me and, saying like how proud they were. So it was definitely a really good moment. I'll cherish forever.
And then from that moment, it brings you here to another whirlwind. You come to Oklahoma City. You're immediately brought to the First Americans Museum, which is such a big part of, Oklahoma City history and culture. You get a chance to tour it. You're also talking to media. You're also being introduced to so many different people. Take me through today and just what you're kind of getting to work here a little bit today and what that's been like for you.
Today was honestly like a great experience. I could probably say for both of us as well. Like just a great experience, going through the museum, seeing what like Oklahoma is all about, because originally I don't think either of us had been to Oklahoma before. And it was just like so crazy to see like how much this state has been through. So I'll say it was just honestly just a crazy, like great experience, just learning the new things I can learn from the museum.
Yeah, the Thunder organization takes this very seriously of being a reflection of the community. You'll come to find that one of the very first things that every player who comes here does is they go down to the Oklahoma City Memorial, where that horrible, tragic bombing happened. And, to come up to a place like this as well, where you learn about, the first Americans that were here in Oklahoma before it even became a state. I have to imagine like pretty powerful stuff, right?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think that me and Tom was talking about earlier too, but just our first reactions of this organization in general is just how much people matter and how much connections matter, and with the community, and just understanding that the success is built off of, I think, a lot of community and people and the connectivity between the teams and just all the teammates and stuff. So we're just so excited to get a part of it, and we're happy to be here, but we're ready to get to work as well.
I want to talk about each of your individual games for a second. You mentioned, I'll start with you here, Brooks, that you mentioned the people aspect of this. The Thunder is so adamant about drafting people first and not players. And we look at your game, we look at what you've done at Northwestern, and it feels very Thunder. It feels like defensive-minded, team first. As you look at your game and you look at this team, how excited are you to maybe fit in with this group and what that could look like?
Yeah, I think for me, I was kind of talking about it earlier, but I honestly think it's a match made in heaven. Just, to get in the player development program and to be able to learn from the guys that are kind of, a cloth that I'm trying to be cut from someday, in the upcoming years is going to be huge for me. Being around like Caruso, Dort, guys that, I can't really wait to just get in the gym and try to pick their brain every day. Yeah. Like I said, I'm so excited now. It's really hard to put into words, but I just know this is a special place, and I'm glad to be here. And
Thomas, real quick, just one quick thing that stuck out in my research about you was 0.5 basketball, the decision-making that you have at such a young age. Can you break down where that came from and what that is?
Well, originally, before I went to Georgetown, I didn't even know that was the name for it, was 0.5 basketball. And then once I got to Georgetown, Coach Cooley was just praising on how basketball is played, and you gotta be, in order to be a good basketball player, you gotta be playing 0.5. So I just took that with me, I kept it with me, and I just think that was able to basically teach me who I am and the type of basketball player I am.
You played at a big time school. Come from the East Coast. You have mentioned that you had an older brother that you'd play against a lot, but then you also played at kind of a big time high school program as well. Tell me about kind of those two different levels of experience, maybe some of the more formal, high level basketball, but then also just sort of the rough and tumble, I've got to play against guys that are way bigger and way older than me.
Yeah, when I was younger, what's gonna call it? Like I said before, when I was in fifth grade, I was playing up with my brother in his high school team, so I was already being introduced to the physicality when I was at a young age, Then once I got to my school in Philly, we was playing in a very tough Catholic league called the Philadelphia Catholic League, and just a lot of tough players out there who want to get better every day, and they push you to succeed every day, and that just honestly got me ready for Georgetown. And that's where I brought the intensity. That's where I brought when I wanted to bring my body right, and also that's how I just became a better player.
Yeah, and you were immediately both productive and then extremely disruptive as a defender. And Brooks, I know earlier we were talking about that's your game too, just disruptive, tenacious. I know you said that you played for your dad at one point, but I'm just thinking of those words and I can't help but think of your college coach, Chris Collins. And I can't imagine, I got to imagine that he has played a huge impact too in that aspect of your game.
Yeah, for sure. The coolest thing about Coach was I didn't play as a freshman in college, and we just kind of, I wasn't going to transfer or anything. I knew I had made a 4-year commitment, and I really wanted to go to Northwestern and make that place special. So going into my sophomore year, he just kind of came to me and just said if you can do all these things that I see in you, and just being a disruptive and everything else, I really feel like you could be big time for us. And at the end of the year, I kind of really grew into our kind of second kind of guy. And that was really a lot of growth over a year. And really that's what got me on the court. And then everything else just came, the offense and, playmaking, stuff like that came. But yeah, that was just my identity. It's how I got on the court. And, it's just my foundation now for who I am as a player.
One thing we heard from Coach Dagnall, we got a chance to talk to him after the press conference, he said both of you guys come from very great families. And Brooks, you mentioned your dad and the impact that he had on you as a coach and coaching you and your brother, correct? What was that experience like? How much did that shape you as the player that you are today?
Yeah, I think it shaped me a lot. We're always in the gym very early. So my dad, he's been a high school coach for 40 years. And it's funny, we would always go in and we have open gyms. And my dad was making my brother and I play against high schoolers when I was in 3rd and 4th grade.
Oh my goodness.
And we were getting it was just, it wasn't pretty for us, but it just kind of forced us to really grow fast and understand kind of the tenacity you have to have if you want to be a good basketball player, especially kind of the kids that we are. So, Yeah, my dad is definitely, I'm very grateful to have that, foundation from my father. But then going into Coach Collins, now Coach Dagnall, like I really, hit the lottery with that. And, I'm so excited to, keep continuing that.
It sounds like a perfect match the more you describe it. And then for you, Thomas, I mean, we've heard so much about your mom and what she's done for you over the course of your life. As you think of what you two have gone through together so much, and now you're here in this moment, getting drafted, getting a chance to play for the Thunder. Just what's that like for you? What does that mean?
And honestly, I say it's just a blessing, just because like I know how much my mom has been through, and like just seeing her go through those like tough, long nights, working overtime when she didn't have to, just to keep a roof over our heads, it was just like so inspirational to me. Yeah. So like I'll say that really just gave me the drive just to keep pushing harder every day, just try to make it up to this point. And then now I'm here, but the work still continues.
Yeah, there seems to be just a relentlessness of spirit with both of you guys. Mm-hmm. And I love just being able to recognize that, because that's exactly how the Thunder plays and operates. You all got to witness this team win an NBA title, and it was the relentlessness of the defense to just wear opponents down night in and night out. How thrilling is that to just come and be a part of that and recognize that as long as you're playing all out, like you'll get a chance to impact winning.
Yeah, I think me and Thomas are just like you said, like really fit in, and it'll be a great place for us to grow, and just being able to kind of, add to that. I feel like the one cool thing that kind of why they really, I feel like liked us is like not only as people, but just like that's kind of what our foundation is, and our identity really matches the team. And, we can come in and learn from guys who, are, NBA champions and, finally kind of, and the other fact is like they're all very young. So we're kind of in the same timeline age-wise. So it'd be really cool to just try to, find our niche to, get on the court and just learn from people in doing so.
Thomas, I want to ask you about, we talked so much defense, but offensively, the way that you've seen the Thunder use big men in this system, great dribble handoff guys playing out of the high post. You think about Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren and Jay Will. Those three guys are very different as players, but what they often do on the court can be utilized in a way to just keep offense moving. How do you kind of see yourself being able to learn from those players?
Yeah, like I know during like in the offensive playbook, I know they like to run through their bigs as well, a couple possessions. So it's just like I'm just trying to see what I can learn like from those guys and see like how I could be put in that position to like succeed like them. So just seeing what I can hear from those guys, seeing what I can learn from them, also from Coach, just to put me in the best position to be the best player I could be.
All right, last thing for you guys, because we know you got more on the calendar here today. We appreciate you taking the time. Yeah. I think one of the funniest parts of the press conference was learning that you guys just met literally yesterday. Can you tell us that story and just what your initial impressions were?
So I was already in the lobby, and I was with my family looking down my phone. I look up and I see Brooks coming down like with a duffel bag, and he's just like sitting around the corner. I'm like, isn't that Brooks who just got drafted? So I walked up to him, introduced myself, said what's up. We conversated for a little bit. Found out we like a little the same stuff, and then it was just on from there.
I can only assume that you had a basketball and some, gym shorts in that duffel bag.
No,
right?
Sure. Yeah, we're definitely ready to go. And it was funny because like, we were just kind of talking, and I like realized like, I was like, yeah, so you went to Georgetown, right? Yeah. And he was like, I did 1 year there. And I was like, how old are you? He was like, 19. And I was like, man. I was like, I'm 23. And then he just laughed, and he was like, wow. Yeah, bro. So I'm 23. So, but it was great. Definitely a great connection off rip.
That's so great to hear. And obviously a lot more time you guys are going to be able to spend together here in the coming future. And these Thunder fans, I know I can speak for all of them, excited to see you out there on the floor. Congratulations.
Yes.
Welcome to Oklahoma City.
Welcome, guys.
All right. Well, that wraps up today's episode. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much to our new rookies joining us here today and our producer, Matt Bishop. And until next time, Thunder up and catch you later.
Thunder up.